I don't think by any means that Street Fighter 4 can't be considered an iconic ass game in fighting game history. It might not even be your favorite game in the Street Fighter catalog, but it's hard to ignore the amount of eyes it drew on the FGC at large in its heyday. What I always found interesting about the Street Fighter community is oftentimes you'll see players dabble with whatever the latest and greatest title is in the lineup, and that can be casually becoming acquainted with the game or even going as far as competing at the highest level. But when the dust settles a bit, players tend to stick to their favorite game in the franchise respectively. I mean, there's the ST community, the Third Strike players, people that are still very fond of Street Fighter 5 to this day, and of course, currently the Street Fighter 6 players. So why? Why on God's green earth did I elect to come back and try my hand at It wouldn't surprise me by now if I've said this a billion times on the channel, but I very much can play and have fun with just about any fighting game I put my hands on to varying degrees of proficiency. But with the recent online bracket hosted by TNS and commentated by Justin Wong and IFC Yipes, I found myself having a grand old time, and while I spent an okay amount of time in Street Fighter 5 and a much larger chunk of time in Street Fighter 6, my time in Street Fighter 4 has been sparse, and even saying that might be generous. My side goal in fighting games is to have at least a character or team I can play to some level of competency in any game, so at the very least I can go and play if whatever game happens to be around. So I figured it was time to give Street Fighter 4 the old community college try, and all in all I've been having a really good time with this game. I can't stress enough though, I've been getting beat the hell up, but don't get it twisted. That's perfectly okay. When approaching a game with some history behind it, you have to put your ego aside and just know walking into things that you're gonna get bodied. Part of the appeal for me personally was that I've always appreciated Street Fighter 4 from afar due to how unique the cast of characters is, and within that, appreciating not just the design, but how each character approaches fighting any other member of the cast. I love seeing really on-point execution in high-pressure moments, and on top of that, learning the history and the storylines going on during the duration of this game was amazing. It's like hearing about a freaking anime, dude, it's sick. So let's talk getting into the game as a new player. If you're in very similar shoes to mine, where you're just kind of okay at fighting games, but maybe not particularly amazing, set your expectations low. It's very much the same formula when I started picking up Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as a newcomer. You're going to run into people who may have never stopped playing the game. So maybe, possibly, and even potentially, expect to lose a lot in your initial sessions. Where I actually started is somewhere between looking at a tier list for the game and the character select screen. I can't stress this enough. Do not let tier lists completely dictate who you do or do not play on a cast. I could do a whole video ranting about tier lists, and I might just. But getting back into the game, you have to do some level of experimentation on your own, but it depends on what you want out of this game. If your prime focus is just wanting to win, then as the old saying goes, but if you just want to hit some buttons and have some fun, I would recommend picking whatever character your heart is leading you towards. For the interim, I've been rocking out with a fair bit of Evil Ryu. That's in large part because I really enjoyed my time with Kage in Street Fighter 5. I just like wheel kicking people. That's kind of my jam. When it comes to actually hopping into the game and into the fray of things, I focus on the things I would recommend to any new player in any fighting game. Figure out what your buttons do, figure things out like what your basic anti-airs are, get some really basic beginner baby combos that you can just get your hands on, and then what your character wants to do in neutral generally. You need this foundational foothold so you can go and play. It's all too often that newcomers to fighting games think they need to spend an nth amount of time in training mode or doing all the trials for a game when really the focus of their initial playtime should just be playing games. For me personally, I just said fuck the trials in this game. I ended up figuring out some basic combos I wanted to hit just by looking at frame data and just made my own. Now if you're gonna do the same thing as me, look for links that aren't too tough. Stuff that you can hit pretty reliably at least a majority of the time, so when you do find an in to get any kind of damage, no matter how big or small, you can cash that check. So for instance, a combo I've been using is crouch jab jab, crouching strong into fireball, or even something like low forward Tatsu Shoryuken, things like that. And if you need to make your combos more basic or want to do more advanced stuff, that's cool. Do whatever feels right for you and whatever you want to do, just as long as you can get moving and grooving. I mean, I didn't even know what my super input was for a couple of sessions. I only knew how to ultra, and I didn't even know how to combo into it. It wasn't until recently that I even remotely started to try making use of the focus mechanic. Solidify what you have starting out until it's comfortable, and then slowly start to expand that. So yeah, things like, alright, I have my foundation. This session, I'm going to try to use the focus mechanic literally at all. Learning even just one new thing in each session is huge, and even if it takes you multiple sessions to get that, that's cool, it's not a race. And then just take that goal for your session and just spam matches. Playing the game is the fun part. It's the why we're here. Don't get me wrong, I like hanging out in training mode and just doing fun stuff and combos and stuff. There are games that I really love that I can spend a shit ton of time in training mode in, but go fucking play, dude. The beautiful thing in playing an older game with a still active community is that the game is just what it is at this point. It's not gonna change the minute you step away from it. It's a little ironic because the Street Fighter 6 community is desperate for a patch, but all the previous information that was applicable when this game was in its peak is still true now. So things like match footage or analysis or existing guides is still applicable and evergreen. So if you're someone that's more studious in the games you play than I am, you can make some pretty significant gains with all the stuff that's still out there. Me personally, I make all my gains just by playing a bunch when I find a game that I like, and I'll figure things out along the way. This by no means is efficient, but it's just the way I operate, it's just the way I play, it's how I have fun. With that said, I would totally be down to do some match review of potential tournament footage in the future, just as some good content, but we'll get there soon enough. The things I'll always recommend if you have access to this is having a friend that can either show you the ropes or is down to join you on your journey. The gains from having a good rivalry / training partner can't be underestimated. Running long sets is amazing, and then splitting off to go grind and then coming back stronger, pushing the other, surpassing each other one after the other. Ugh, I love that shit. Unfortunately, I don't really have any friends that are down like that, so I'm on this journey solo, but that's all good. And hey, if you're feeling bold in your matchmaking, send a friend request to someone that feels about your skill level so you can get some form of that. The Street Fighter 4 community at large has been extremely nice to me in getting started, and I would be surprised if someone turned you down for a long set. So in summary, pick your character, figure out the basics of what that character does, even if it's just a portion of their kit, you can absolutely figure out the rest later, and go play games. Come back with a goal for your next session, go play games with that goal in mind, maybe watch some matches, steal some tech, or maybe just check a matchup that's giving you trouble and see how that person is playing your character and is approaching that match. Then go play more games. If you feel like stretching out from your pre-existing combos, get yourself some better ones, or maybe even some setups you want to try. And guess what? Keep that all in mind and go play more games. And most importantly, have fun along the way. None of this really matters if you aren't having fun playing the game. Thanks for your time, everyone. I'm going to keep on keeping on with more fighting game content as a whole. I'm just kind of riding the Street Fighter 4 high because the game is really fun and fresh. But I'm also going to be having some general fighting game stuff that I'm going to be ranting about in the near future. But until then, enjoy the fight and get ready for the next battle. Peace.
Fight! Yeah! The first kick has been recorded. This bout will determine who is the strongest once and for all. Turn it all around! Hadouken! I smell a comeback! Will this gambit work? Hadouken! Miss me! Would this be the end? It's a battle of endurance! Last one standing wins! K.O. What will happen now? Fight! How long will this go on? This is it! A fight we've all been waiting for! Anything can happen! There's a devastating attack coming up! No doubt about it! The fear out there is tangible! The world is holding its breath! It is one!